There is a fact about America that almost nobody believes. The United States has never had an official language. Not for 1 year, not for 1 decade, for almost 2.5 centuries, not one law, not one amendment, not one official declaration. And the reason why is stranger than you think. It's 1776. The Declaration of Independence has just been signed. America is a brand new country, and the men in that room face a problem nobody talks about. This new nation isn't just English, it's German, it's Dutch, it's French, it's Swedish, it's Welsh. By 1790, 1 in 3 people in Pennsylvania speaks German as their first language. Not English, German. Entire cities, entire counties, entire communities where you could live your whole life without speaking a single word of English, and these people aren't outsiders. They helped build the country, they fought in the Revolution, they bled for independence. So when the founders sat down to write the Constitution, the document that would define what America was, someone asked the obvious question: what language does this country speak? And the answer they gave was stunning. They didn't answer. Not a single word about language appears in the United States Constitution. Not one. Why? Because many of the founders believed something that still shapes America today. America wasn't built on blood, it wasn't built on ethnicity, it wasn't built on language, it was built on an idea that anyone from anywhere could become American. And many historians argue that choosing an official language would have conflicted with that idea. It would have said, your voice matters more than his. Your culture belongs here. Theirs doesn't. The Constitution says none of that. It stays silent. But not everyone was comfortable with that silence. As early as the 1750s, some Americans were already panicking. Benjamin Franklin, founding father, American hero, and privately he feared German immigrants would never become American. He wrote that they would turn Pennsylvania into a foreign country inside America. He called them, in his own words, the most stupid of their nation. The man on the $100 bill. Writing in private about how immigrants were a threat to the country he was helping build. And he wasn't alone. This tension exploded in Congress for the first time in 1794. A group of German-speaking immigrants in Virginia sent a simple petition. Please print some federal laws in German so we can understand them. Not make German official, not replace English. Just help us understand the rules we're supposed to follow. And Congress debated it. A vote was held on whether to even keep discussing it. The motion failed, 42 to 41. One vote, and from that single procedural vote, not even a vote on the real question, was born one of the greatest myths in American history. That German almost became the official language of the United States. Defeated by a single vote, it spread across generations. Newspapers, books. Ripley's Believe It or Not. It was never true. One of the biggest stories in American history was built on a vote that never actually happened. The 19th century made everything worse. Millions arrived: Irish, Italian, Chinese, Polish, Russian, Jewish. Every wave brought new languages, new cultures. Every wave triggered the same fear: they're not becoming American fast enough. In 1904, a railroad president told Congress, while defending the brutal treatment of immigrant workers, these workers don't suffer. They don't even speak English. Not speaking English had become a way of deciding who deserved to be treated like a human being. And yet, despite the fear, the pressure, the hostility, America still never made English official, because every time Congress tried, they ran into the same wall. Which Americans are you willing to exclude? Spanish speakers in California who were there before the United States existed. Native Americans who spoke hundreds of languages long before English arrived. Puerto Ricans. American citizens since 1917, whose first language is Spanish. Every attempt to make English official forced lawmakers to answer a question they didn't want to answer. What does it actually mean to be American? And no one could agree. Here's what makes this story strange. English won anyway. Without a law. Without a mandate. Without an official declaration. English became the language of America through everyday life. Because it was the language of school, of business, of opportunity. If you wanted to build a life in America, you learned English. And not because the law said you had to, because the world around you left you no choice. Every immigrant family knows this story. The grandparents who spoke only their mother tongue, the parents who switched languages at the dinner table, the children who answered in English even when spoken to in something else. 3 generations, 1 language, without a single law forcing it. For 248 years, America refused to answer this question. Then, in 2025, the federal government took a step it had never taken before. An executive order was signed, making English the official language of the United States government. For the first time in history, America had chosen. Or had it? Because an executive order isn't the Constitution. It can be changed. It doesn't change the 68 million Americans who speak another language at home. It doesn't change what's carved into the base of the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. No mention of which language they have to speak. Maybe America never forgot to choose a language. Maybe refusing to choose was the choice. The choice to stay open, to stay unfinished, to let the question hang in the air for 248 years because the answer was too important to get wrong. The strangest thing about America isn't its power. It's the questions it still hasn't answered. Subscribe, because there are more of them than you think.